Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Business from the Bass Boat Podcast on the Serious Angler Network, presented by Rec Lending. And guys, today, great show lined up. Actually going to be a solo show, a vintage classic Excel show, which I haven't done in quite some time, but was compelled to do so because I spent a lot of time this weekend watching the Bassmaster Open on Eufaula, Oklahoma. And it got me thinking, listening to Ronnie Moore going over stats and everything else, chatting about where folks stand in the standings in the EQs. I don't know what it is the last couple of years with the change in the EQ qualification for the Elite Series. I have paid so much attention to the EQ tournaments, and I think it's a really compelling story where you have all these guys struggling to financially, just from the standpoint of how brutal the opens are, trying to make the Elite Series. And it's been a really cool to see those rookies come into the Elite Series class and just dominate and do really, really well. So I anticipate that being similar for years to come. But I did a breakdown, basically where things stand in the current EQ standings with the top 10. What does it take to be in the top 10 of the EQ Bassmaster EQs at this point in time? We are 5 tournaments out of the 9 into the EQ gauntlet, and it's about to be the Northern Swing, where I think you'll see some mix-ups, right? Like some folks who maybe haven't spent time, especially I think it's going to be a super wild card that everything's kind of in the Midwest this year versus kind of your traditional Northeast fisheries where a lot of folks have been to. So without further ado, we can jump right into it. Classic Excel format. It felt good to crunch some numbers. It's super nerdy to say, but it actually was a little bit fun to look at where guys kind of stack up. And before that, let's talk a little bit about Eufaula. Super cool to see a couple of close friends do really, really well. Ty Faber finished 6th, and then Loberg finished 2nd. And of course, congrats to Eastern Fothergill, just on an epic run, leading everything, and just is phenomenal. He's one of those, I don't know, 1%ers in my opinion, based on his finishes and just where he's at in his career in fishing, especially for his age. I mean, to be a college kid coming out competing like that is just lights out. So anyways, I hope everyone tuned into the coverage. It was a bunch of fun to watch, and you saw great big one get caught on Saturday with Easton Fothergill with almost a 9-pounder on Eufaula when it was really, really tough. And it was tough. It was brutal for those guys, like just watching the fish catches. But I think you can learn a lot watching those tournaments as well, obviously fishing them or so. But let's jump into the stats here. Okay, so again, 5 tournaments in. This is basically breaking down the top 10 in the Open EQ AOY to make the Elite Series. Now, it is very close past 10th place. So I think it's 9 they take in the Opens for the Elite Series. So, and outside of double qualifications, but there's no Elite Series anglers that are in our top 10 right now. But it's very close past this 10th number. I did a little bit of looking, and it was very close to see. It's like, gosh, there's going to certainly be some mix-ups. Whereas I felt like in 2023, the points were set pretty early, and those anglers continued to rise above everyone else. And I think you saw some tail end drop out throughout the end of the season, which I think you'll see again, where guys are just like, I'm not going to be able to, or it doesn't make sense for my odds are so low to make it at this point. Why am I going to continue to spend the expenses to travel to all these tournaments? So I think you're going to continue to see that. So I basically broke things down, the finishes for the top 10 guys in each tournament. And then in addition to that, showed their points, the current AOY points for the EQ anglers, their average finish. So just divided the 5 tournaments that I've had that have gone so far, and basically took that number of that place. And then I did a percentage of out of 200 boat field. Most of the opens have been like a 230 boat field, but some also have been 180, something like that. So I just, to make it easy, did a 200 boat field. So I just took that number, divided it off the average finish to show you the percentage of where these guys are finishing. So I guess let's start from the back. And again, this is close back here. I think it's actually both the 10th and the 11th place guy have 790 points. So Matt Messer finished 34th in Okeechobee, 95th on Ouachita, 7th on Santee Cooper, 69th on Logan Martin, and 10th on Eufaula. Basically, average finish of 43rd, which is in the 22nd percentile. So out of a 200 boat field. So really, I mean, you're right pushing at that 20%, finishing top 20, top 25% in any tournament, but especially the Gauntlet of the Opens is like you're fishing well. You're doing well. And these guys are doing very, very well. So Jack York is currently in 9th. He had a 96th place on Okeechobee, a 54th on Ouachita, a 21st on Santee Cooper, a 27th on Logan Martin, and an 8th on Eufaula, Oklahoma. And let's see, I spelled Eufaula wrong. Nice. That is a trend. Like if you look at that, I mean, he went from 96th, 54th, 21st, 27th, 8th. That's trending in the positive for sure. So Jack York is fishing really, really well right now and has some momentum. There's no doubt about it. Started off the year with a 96, which again is like it's a 50% finish in the field. So not horrible, but certainly at the level the Opens has been competing the last couple of years, it's like those ones are tough to swallow. So he's on a trend. So I think you expect him to continue doing well. Can't wait to see what he does up there in Minnesota and all the Midwest, what they have to offer. So 799 points. So a little bit of a difference there between 10th place, 9 points, nothing too crazy. It's an average finish of a 41st, and that's a 21 percentile out of a 200 boat field. All right. Next, we got Lobe sitting doing well. 39th on Okeechobee, 18th on Ouachita, 95th on Santee Cooper, 95th on Logan Martin, and 2nd on Eufaula. The final day watching Loberg was awesome to see. Basically catching some, I think, release fish right there, and then running to his stuff, and then coming back and basically busting a great big one at the end of the day, like a 4-pounder. And I thought, man, he might have a shot here. But then Eastern Father when you catch a almost 9-pounder, when Big Bass the tournament, I think was 6 something prior to that, like it's your time. So long as you can fill out the rest of your limit. And he certainly did that and got the W there. But Loberg was fun to watch. Glad to see West Coast. I mean, look at this here. Not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we got Loberg, we got Ty Faber, Colorado guy. Loberg's originally from California. Now he's in Alabama. And then Cody Meyer, Idaho. Those are 3 dudes at the top 10 right now. It's cool to see. Got to have a little love for the West Coast. And okay, back to Loberg. He has 808 points with an average finish of 39th. And that puts him in the 20th percentile. So hovering right there at 20%. It seems like that's where you really got to be. And I'm curious to see how these numbers will change, if there's going to be big fluxes up and down. And I would venture to say, I can't say this for sure, but I felt like last year these numbers percentage wise would have been a little bit lower, but I could be totally wrong. I think it would have been closer towards where your top guy is for further down to that top 10. It seemed like they were just so dominant last year, a couple of guys. Next, Tucker Smith. Everyone knows how great of a fisherman Tucker Smith is. I think it's just a matter of time before you see him in the Elite Series. 2nd on Okeechobee, 33rd on Ouachita, 144th on Santee Cooper, and 2nd on Logan Martin. So he's got 2 seconds. That's incredible. And then 16th on Eufaula. Fantastic finish there. So he's at 808 points with an average finish of 39th. That's put you in the 20th percentile. Biggest bomb. I mean, 2 seconds. If he doesn't have this bomb, like think about it, that 144th, by far out of everyone here, the next closest worst finish would be either Loberg or Messer with both 95th. Oh, Jack York's got a 96, but still all under 100 and 144th. Like that's a big drop. and he's still right there. So imagine if he didn't have that one. I'm sure he wants that one back. He'd be quite a bit closer to that front end, or if not in the front end. So uh, great position to be in, sitting in, that would be seventh. Yeah, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. So seventh in Angler of the Year for the EQs. Next, we got Ty Faber, and rooting super hard for this guy. He's worked really hard the last couple of years to put himself in this position, and he's sitting 18th on Okeechobee. He finished 57th on Ouachita, 82nd on Santee Cooper, 21st on Logan Martin, and 6th on Eufaula. That dude just gels with Eufaula. I mean, I think he's finished 11th there last year in the Open, finished third, I want to say, at the Toyota Series there earlier this year, and then now 6th. So someone to watch out for on Eufaula. Total points, he's got 821, so a decent jump there from that 7th place position up. And that puts an average finish of 36.8. So let's just say 37th. And that puts you in the 18th percentile out of the field. All right. Next is Matt Adams. I think this is this guy's first year fishing the Opens, and he's fishing really, really well. 5th on Okeechobee, 61st on Ouachita. Santee Cooper finished 8th, 74th on Logan Martin, and 7th on Eufaula. So he's got 3 top 10s. And basically that puts him at 850 points, and 31st average finish is where he needs to be. Finishes up the tournament in 31st with a 16th percentile. So, man, it's just getting tighter and tighter as we get closer here in the top 5. So he's 5th. Cody Meyer, who is well known in the fishing world, has spent a lot of time both with FLW, Major League Fishing, and is making his run to the Elite Series. And he's been super fun to watch. Super consistent guy. I kind of expected him to do well. Now, the rookie era and all these young guys coming up, as we saw last year, I mean, we question that a little bit, but Cody's really good with his electronics and just catches fish, right? I mean, he's just a finesse guy that's known for the spinning pull and getting it done even when things are tough. So super lends itself to the Opens where you need to be consistent. So he finished 37th at Okeechobee, 31st at Ouachita, 44th at Santee Cooper, 31st at Logan Martin. I mean, look at these 30, 30, 44, 30. Like these are just super fantastic finishes. And check cashing, by the way. And then he finished 9th at Eufaula. Puts him at 853 points. That's an average finish of 30th. And that puts you in the 15th percentile out of a 200 boat field. Just pretty impressive what these guys are doing. Okay. Evan Kung, 17th on Okeechobee, 9th on Ouachita, 9th on Santee Cooper, 2 back-to-back. Nice. That's awesome. 22nd on Logan Martin, and then a little bit of a not a bomb, I'm gonna say, but a 95th on Eufaula in comparison to where he was finishing. Pretty big difference there. So he's had kind of that one hiccup, looks like right there. Hopefully he can kind of continue out of that. So 853rd points, so tied there with Cody Myers, 853 points, I should say. And that's an average finish of 30th and a 15th percentile out of a 200 boat field. All right, Dakota Ibar. Everyone knows who this guy is. Just is phenomenal right now. And fished against him in college. He was great in college, but like got a heck of a lot better and just worked his tail off to get to where he is. So it's been awesome to watch his career. Another Major League Fishing guy that has transferred over fishing the Opens right now. 31st on Okeechobee, 13th on Lake Ouachita, 4th on Santee Cooper, 42nd on Logan Martin, 46th on Eufaula. So another guy that's super consistent. If you look at this, basically your Dakota, his lowest finish is a 46th. And then you look at Cody Meyer, whose lowest finish is a 44th. Like, tell me which ones out of all these guys are the pros that have been doing it the longest? Those two, right? Like, look at that consistency. Like all these other guys, for them, all of them are much less established of not a guy who has been fishing professionally on a tour level for multiple seasons. Cody Meyer, Dakota Bear, I mean, proof's in the pudding right there. Like they're both sitting in 2nd and in 4th in AOY right now. and their lowest finishes are in the 40s out of 5 tournaments in a 200 plus boat field. Pretty dang impressive. So, 869 points. So good jump there from third. 27th puts his average finish 27th out of a 200 boat field, and that's a 14th percentile. All right, Eastern Fothergill, number one right now, and I don't know how you can really bet against this guy, as well as a lot of these guys, but especially him going back up north, the Midwest north, where I believe he spent some time on Leech Lake. Big question mark for a lot of guys going into this because it is so it's not your typical northeastern swing. These are different bodies of water, still smallmouth, of course, and largemouth will play, but just a place where guys haven't been familiar with yet. So I'm super excited to watch what kind of goes down this summer on all the northern fisheries. So Okeechobee started super strong, 7th place there, which is just awesome. 11th on a Ouachita, a little bit of a slip. 83rd on Santee Cooper. Love how I say that's a slip. Leading AOY. 25th on Logan Martin, and then wins in Eufaula this week. I think it came from like 6th or 7th place, maybe even further back to win. So super, super cool to see him get that done, get the W this last week. And young kid, seems like a great kid. Loved listening to his interviews after the Derby on Eufaula, Oklahoma. So his points, he's sitting at 878. His average finish is a 25th. Pretty good jump. I mean, you look at overall kind of the tiers here, and it goes like low 20s for the guys just hovering around that top 10, the 20 percentiles, then your 18 percentiles, 16, 15, just work your way up to that guy who's in first. And Easton Fothergill's sitting with 13th percentile on average, that is, out of a 200 boat field. So his average finish is 25th, 25.4. So super great to see, and fun to do this little breakdown. I think I'm going to continue this. I probably won't do this after every event, but we'll see. And basically just kind of break down as things shift going into the last couple events this season, because I don't know, last year was fun and a compelling story to see where guys ended up, if they snuck into the Elite Series or not. And then it's been cool to watch those rookies continue on into their careers. So that's this week's show. Go ahead and let me know your take. Who's gonna still be here when it's all said and done at the end of the season, as far as making the Elite Series? And do you expect these numbers to change drastically? Do you expect these percentages to change drastically, or is it going to stay pretty consistent over the next couple of events? So again, we're past the turning point. 5 of the 9 events have happened, and really it's coming down to the last 4, some swings up north, and then I don't know where the last tournament is, but somewhere in the fall, probably on some tough place. That's just typically how it seems to go in the opens when it gets to the fall time frame. So anyways, hope everyone has a great week. Enjoy summer fishing if you can get out, and if not, it's a great time to be out with family. And yeah, hope everyone has a good rest of your afternoon.